Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be getting into some more eyeshadow looks. I know there has been so many on my channel recently, and forewarning, it's not going to stop. I have quite a few more to go through, but Tom Ford has released 5 new quads, and I had been getting so many messages about them before they even released. I was getting messages, have you heard about the quads that are going to be released on Selfridges? Have you heard about the new quads? Have you heard about this? Have you heard about, Coco Mirage being discontinued? Of course, I knew that was going to happen, but what I didn't know was going to happen was that it was going to be changed as much as it was. So I have the new version of it in this selection right here. I'm going to be showing you guys a look with every single one of the palettes. I'm going to give you swatches. I'm going to do it all. So let me just go ahead and dive in. I'm not going to do these in any particular order. I'm just going to pick them up and show them to you. I had to speak with my Tom Ford dealer to figure out how to say some of these names. And if you're watching, let me know how I do. But anywho, this is the very first one, and it is SABLE. And the funny thing is, there's actually a really fancy way to say this, and I'm not even gonna try to do that. This is the one that I am currently wearing right now. We have 3 matte shades in here, and then a shimmer metallic, kind of. You'll see how I feel about this situation later on. But you guys just saw the swatches for SABLE. Next up, I have De la Creme. This palette contains 2 mattes and then 2 shimmers up top. This is the first palette I wore, and I was wearing it in my video where I was talking about products that I love and I like were old favorites but I don't pick up anymore. And you guys asked for that specific eye look, so I made sure to recreate that exact look today, so you will see that. And here are the swatches for De la Creme. Next up, we have Arabesque. This is the only one out of the 5 that contains 2 of the topper shades. So if you're familiar with Tom Ford palettes, they have these beautiful glittery top coats that are just so beautiful. So these 2 shades right here, the gold and the red, are that shimmer type of formula. And then these 2 are like a satin metallic formula, but there are no mattes in this one. Noir FUME. That was one of the ones that I had to write down, literally had to write down FUME so that I would remember how to pronounce it. This one is a cool tone palette. We have 2 mattes in here and then 2 shimmery metallic shades. This is one of my favorites of the collection. Lastly, certainly not least, we have the Coco Mirage replacement. This is MINK Mirage. This one is all matte. If you remember Coco Mirage, let me go ahead and grab that one. Coco Mirage, I considered it to be an all matte palette, even though the one shade in here, this one right here, had technically like little glitters in it, but you really didn't see them on the eye, and they're so micro tiny. You just don't see them. So I just basically consider this to be an all matte palette. Let me just show you these 2 side by side really quickly. The top row is supposed to be the same, but the formula is different, so I feel like the colors are just slightly different on those. And then these 2 shades are supposed to be the same, and they completely took out this reddish brown and they swapped it for this black shade right here. I'll let you guys see the swatches, and I'm going to go ahead and swatch these side by side as well, so you can see MINK Mirage all by itself and then swatched right up against Coco Mirage, so you can see the differences. Each of the palettes retail for $88. I got mine on both Selfridges and Nordstrom. I was basically playing the game of who had what in stock and who had it first. So I was getting these palettes in separate shipments and trying them out as I went along. So not only do I have the looks to show you guys, I have some feedback on how they wear, because there's some differences, some things that actually make me a little bit sad. So let me go ahead. I'm going to show you guys the looks. I'm going to do it over music again because I just feel like when I'm doing this many looks all at one time, it's just easier for me to do. So let's roll the tape, and then I will give you guys my feedback. I finished off this look, Milk Boss liner, and then just mascara. I want to get into my thoughts, but honestly, I've got to tell you guys, I don't even know where to start because I'm a little bit back and forth with this new launch and the new formula and everything. I'm just kind of, my thoughts are all over the place. I feel kind of torn about how I feel about the price of them, the quality of them. It's just a lot. So bear with me while I try and gather my thoughts. This is something I've been thinking of for a while. At first, I was really mad with the first palette that I tried, and I will tell you guys why. And then, I tried another one. I was like, oh, I like this one better. And then I had another experience. So it's just kind of been an up and down thing for me. Overall, I've got to say though that I don't think that these palettes are worth $88. And I feel like Tom Ford has always been something that I love Tom Ford. I feel like they have been special. I feel like to me they have been worth the price tag because they just had this element that was sophisticated. It was beautiful. It was just something that you couldn't find in other palettes. And now with these, I feel like I can find them in a lot of my palettes, and I can find them in cheaper palettes and stuff like that. So let me get into the good and the bad because I'm not saying that all of these palettes are bad. I'm going to say that a couple of them are, but I'm not saying that all of these palettes are bad. I am just going to flat out say that I do not think that they are worth $88 anymore. Some of you may say, hey, I don't think they were worth the price tag to begin with. And hey, to each their own. To me, they were worth the price tag before, and I still love the wet dry formula. I still love all the ones that I have already in my collection. I'm just speaking about these 5, just to make sure that's out there. I'm going to start off with Coco Mirage. Coco Mirage has been one of my favorite ride or die palettes ever since the day that I used it. I have such fond memories of Coco Mirage, and I've talked about it so many times on my channel. If you are somebody who has followed me for any length of time, you know how much I love Coco Mirage. And I know that you guys know because as soon as it was spoken about that it was going to be, reformulated, and then there was news about it being discontinued, and just all this stuff, I was getting messages from so many different people that it was crazy. My email, my inbox on Instagram, here on YouTube, just absolutely everywhere. I do actually like the MINK Mirage. This is one that I will use. I think it's really beautiful. The mattes in here perform well. I have to show you this black really quickly. This, like when you touch them, they feel amazing. All of the mattes, when you touch them, they feel creamy. The pigmentation, they are going to knock your socks off whenever you swatch them. And one really good thing is like how blendable. I want you to see, it doesn't get patchy, and it just blends and blends and blends. So that's really, really good, especially for a black. Blacks can be very chalky, they can be inconsistent, they can be patchy. This one I think works really, really well, and you don't need a lot. I tapped just a little bit on my eye and it went a long way. So the black in this palette is very, very nice. I have no issues with this white shade. I will say that the one in the Coco Mirage, it has just a little bit more of a lasting power and just like a little bit more oomph to it than this one does, but no big deal. Both of these blended out very nicely. Overall, this is a matte palette that is going to work very easily. The mattes in these palettes are very, very user friendly. They're pigmented, but then they can really blend out very softly, and that's good and bad. In this palette, I like it. I like how everything performs. My only thing is it's not as good. And I don't know that if you aren't already a huge lover of the original Coco Mirage, if you're going to know the difference between the two. But there's something about these mattes in the original that just, these are still good. I don't know how to say it. These are still good. This is worth, I repurchased this. I have 2 more of Coco Mirage because I panicked. And I'm so glad that I did because this is beautiful, but it just doesn't hold a candle to this palette. And That's unfortunate, but I do like it. So this is one of the top ones that I do like and I will still continue to use. I don't think it's worth $88. I just don't. I feel like I can find these type of shades, great mattes that work out well, but just palette wise and of itself, this one is really nice. Let's move on to Noir Fume. This is the next one that I actually really enjoy. I had no issues with this one. I used this shade and I blended it out on the outer V, even though it's not a matte shade. This deepened up the look really nice. This is, you know, again, it's just another bone colored shadows, like whatever. This is really pretty. My issue is it's not special. It's beautiful, but it's not special. So both this palette and the MINK Mirage, I think, work well, but they lack the specialness to be $88 other than the Tom Ford name. This one, I feel like I can get the same look with my Huda Beauty Smoky Obsessions palette. I feel like I can get the same look with the recent Fenty Beauty palette. I know I did a look just almost identical to this one in that video. So if you're curious about it, I don't remember the name of the palette, but I know that I created a look that was nearly identical with the Fenty palette, which is $25 and there's 6 shades in there. If this was a $30 palette, $40 palette, whatever, I don't think I would have as much of an issue with it. It's just the price tag and the lack of specialness. I know I'm going to keep saying that, and I apologize for being repetitive. It's just, again, I'm having a hard time getting how I feel about these out. In my opinion, the metallic shimmers in this palette, satins, whatever you want to call them, are the best of the bunch when it comes to that formula, but they do fade a little bit. So they go on very, very nicely, especially this palette. It goes on, it's beautiful, it's very smooth. So if you're looking for something that's not going to emphasize any crepiness, add a lot of texture, anything like that, I would suggest this palette. And I love the cool tone look of this one. It's beautiful. So my 2 favorite ones out of the bunch are definitely Noir Fume and MINK Mirage. This is kind of where we start to go downhill, and I'm going to start off with Deva Creme. This is the one that I used first. So I noticed right away that the mattes blended out really nicely, but they didn't feel like Cocoa Mirage. And I hadn't gotten any of the other palettes in. I got this one in first and it came alone all by itself. I used it. I liked these matte shades, but then I was like, you know, it doesn't feel like Cocoa Mirage, and that's when I started to get concerned about how the MINK Mirage was going to be. With that being said, still a good formula. Still great pigmentation, still extremely blendable, still very, very user-friendly. So I don't have issues with the mattes. These shimmers up here fade like nobody's business. Not only do you really just not get a lot of impact from them, I feel like you get more impact from the Noir Fume than you do this one. Let me show you, let me just grab a brush. I want to see if I can do this really quickly. These are very powdery. It's just like, I don't know. It's kind of like that Chanel highlighter that I don't like. It's powdery like that. And it goes on the lid and it's extremely powdery. I feel like the one that I have on right now, like, can you tell that this is metallic or shimmer or whatever? It's, I don't know, it's very lackluster. And when I put this palette on, I was immediately reminded of my Surat Beauty Beyond Beige Petite palette, which is more expensive than the Tom Ford, but these are amazing, amazing. And I actually had a comment saying, oh my gosh, that eye looks a lot like your favorite Surat. And I was like, yes, it does look like it, but it's not the quality. This I would pay $100 for again because this is skin-like. I mentioned to a friend that this is like foundation on the eyes. And they said, have you ever said that in a video? And I was like, I don't think so. But that is how I feel about these. They're so skin-like and beautiful and just, I don't know. It's like painting your eyes, having no texture, but having a texture at the same time, like this beautiful finish that doesn't emphasize anything. It's absolutely magnificent. One of my favorite formulas. This is what I'm talking about when I say something is expensive, but it has something special to it. The Dela Creme It faded through the day quite badly, quite badly. I FaceTimed my friend, and that was when the whole foundation on the eye Surratt thing came about. And they said, yeah, your eye looks very worn in. I was like, I'm not somebody that has issues with shadows fading or anything like that. It's just not typical for me. So if I notice that, it it says something. Conclusion with this palette, the mattes performed well. These two shades are lackluster. I wouldn't suggest it for $88. I would say get any other palette you want. I talked about like the NARS Loaded palette. I can get the same exact look with it. These shades are nothing new. It's just, it leaves something to be desired. But that is the middle ground. The last two palettes I don't like, and it's very, very unfortunate. Let's talk about Arabesque. I think this is my least favorite of the bunch. I'm not sure what happened here, but these two topper shades are not the same. I don't know what's going on. I put this one on with a brush and then I tried with my finger. There's nothing there. The gold is a little bit better, but still it just leaves something to be desired. If I didn't add in this satin finish right here, I feel like the look would have been just whatever. This is fine. I don't really have any issues with that. It's a really pretty smooth metallic that is more skin-like. So I actually like this shade and I don't mind this one, but I feel like this is a complete bust. I don't like this. I tried packing it on. I was using synthetic brushes. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I was using the Wayne Goss synthetic, I think it's 26S, to really pack it on. I used my finger to try to get this on, and this one I was using the synthetic version of the Tom Ford number 13, and it was going on, and it didn't get any better with my finger, so I know that it wasn't the brushes. It's just, nah, I don't like this palette. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think I can get an okay look out of it, but I will not reach for that palette. Lastly, we have the one that I am wearing right now, and this is SABLE. The colors are so pretty. I am so let down by this palette though. This is the palette that I was really the most excited about color-wise, other than obviously wanting to know what they did with Coco Mirage. I wanted this palette. It is so beautiful. I love those dusty mauves. It's just a beautiful palette. And I love the subtle gray that this has up top. So these three are mattes, and then again, shimmer, whatever this is up here. And again, this is extremely, extremely powdery. I don't know if you guys can even see, and I don't know if it showed up on camera or what, but I don't get it. I don't know what they were doing. The quality is just lacking with this one. So initially, I went in with this shade and I thought, oh yes, this has great pigmentation. And then it blended out, and it blended out like a dream. I wasn't mad about that. I was like, okay, so, you know, the pigmentation blended out, but it did it so seamlessly, just like that black. It just, no patchiness, nothing. Then I went in with this shade and I kind of feel like these two are almost the same. Like there's not enough difference between these two on the eye, because this one starts to lose its impact as well. You are still going to get that difference. I feel like you can kind of see where I have the definition with this one, but I feel like it should have been just a little bit darker in order to really make this a little bit more diverse. I don't know. This shade right here is utter crap. I'm just going to say it. Utter crap. I don't like it at all, at all, at all. And I don't buy this one. Don't buy this one, and don't buy the Arabesque. I am so disappointed in this one. I know that if I'm looking for these colors, I'm just going to go ahead and go grab my Pat McGrath Divine Rose. Yes, it's $125, but I mean, I've got 10 shades in there instead of 4, and they are all far, far superior to this palette. I feel like I'm being so negative, and I hate that. I truly, truly am such a fan of Tom Ford, but I just expect so much more than this. I'm just gonna say pros are, if you're looking for really blendable mattes and you're a Tom Ford fan, you finally got them. You know, they have not been doing a bunch of matte shadows, and now you have quite a few to choose from. But I have to follow that up with that unless you're just a Tom Ford lover, I feel like you can get so much better at a better price, and that's just my opinion. I don't know. Hopefully I didn't make anybody too upset. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just makeup and it's just my opinion, and the only one that really matters is yours. So anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helped you guys if you're wondering whether or not you wanted to pick these up. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.